Hi, this is Eric Anderson, principal at Wenatchee High School. And we thought it would be a good idea to give everyone an update on where we are on the hybrid four-period schedule for next school year. So we're going to spend a little bit of time and look at things, review a couple things that we had already talked about in previous presentations, but thought it would be a good idea to recap some of that information as well as to share with you where we are in kind of the conceptual building of next year's schedule. So to start off, I just want to share again that our district is very committed to professional development for our staff. And currently our staff members are partaking in book studies around teaching in the block system. And we are working with setting up University of Washington CEL, the Center for Educational Leadership, for next year in a variety of learning labs for our staff here at the high school, teaching in extended learning times as well as engagement strategies during those learning times. And then the Bureau of Education and Research is a great resource for practical teaching in block schedule classes. So we are looking to have them come in and do an all-staff training with our staff at the beginning of next year, as well as Gail Gregory, who is an author of Differentiated Instruction in the Block Schedule. So those are just some of the things that we are looking at around professional development for our staff with regards to engagement strategies in the extended learning timeframes. So with that said, I want to talk a little bit about some of the priorities that we've kind of set as a foundation for building next year's schedule. So as we kind of went through the process this year and have looked at things and have gotten feedback from parents and staff, we are looking at all of our foreign language classes next year will be offered in an A-B rotation, so they'll be going all year long. All of our music classes are offered in a year-long format, an A-B rotation. Most of our advanced placement courses also offered in a year-long format. There are a couple that are in science and math that are paired with other classes that will be running in semesters. And then ninth grade English will be paired up with our ninth grade science because we have ELA standards that run in, obviously in our English class as well as in our science curriculum. So we thought it was important for ELA standards to be taught all year long. So our ninth grade will have them paired, which means if a student takes English in the first semester, they will take science in the second semester of their ninth grade year. And then obviously vice versa. If a student takes science their first semester, they will be in English in their second semester of their ninth grade year. So they'll be getting ELA standards all year long. And then our 10th through 12th grade, it was really important for us to kind of create a humanities all year long. And so we have partnered our English with our social studies classes. So just like in ninth grade, a student who takes an English class in first semester will take a social studies class in the second semester, or vice versa. They will take a social studies class first semester and an English second semester. So again, they'll be working with ELA standards all year long within those two courses. We also thought it was important to have no gaps in our math sequencing from anywhere a student would enter in the ninth grade through an Algebra 2 sequence, which is what the SBAC test covers. So the SBAC covers Algebra 2 content and below, and that is a junior level test. Some sophomores who are ready for it, if they're in an Algebra 2 class or above, will take that test, but we thought it was very important to have no gaps in sequence between our pre-algebra classes all the way through our Algebra 2 classes. So that was part of our foundation for scheduling for next year. And then we wanted to make sure we had a mix of classes running in a semester format and in an A-B rotation format to allow for maximum flexibility in student schedules. So you'll see as we get further into the presentation talking about which classes will be offered in an A-B rotation for next year. So one of the things I just touched on briefly, but is our math sequencing. I'm not going to go heavily into detail on this, but feel free to take a look at this. You're able to see kind of two different scenarios. Our first scenario on top is current students. So if you are a ninth grader and you are in a pre-algebra class this year, you can see the sequence of classes that you'll be taking over the next 3 years. And you can see the entry point for every one of those ninth graders. So our current ninth graders in algebra, geometry, algebra 2, or accelerated algebra 2, and where you would go from there. So, and again, that doesn't mean it has to be a freshman there. You could be a current sophomore in geometry, and what would that look like? Your next class would be, and then you can see how it moves across the table. And then down below, it's some incoming students, so our current 8th graders or next year's freshmen, the sequencing of those, which is very similar, obviously, but we have some slight changes just based on entry point for those particular students. So again, you can kind of get an idea of what that sequencing looks like in our math department. Next, I wanted just to kind of go back over and just remind of the structure. This is a draft idea of what the time of the schedule will look like for next year. And you can see that classes will meet all 5 days of the week, except for classes that are in AB rotation. Those classes will meet every other day, and I'll get into more specifics about that in just a moment. But instructional time, you'll see Monday, because of our late start, we've got 65-minute classes. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, each one of those classes will run 85 minutes. Each one of those periods will run 85 minutes. So next, kind of to go into a little more detail on the AB rotation and what that looks like, all of our classes, with the exception of some of our math and intervention classes, which will meet every day all year long, the rest of our classes will meet 90 times during the school year. So a semester-long class will meet 90 consecutive days in a row, either first semester or second semester, and AB rotation classes will meet every other day for the entire school year. So if you take a look down below, you'll see that in Block 1, 2 separate semester classes. Biology, in this example, would run 90 days in semester 1, and then Intro to AutoCAD would run 90 consecutive days in semester 2. In the next example here, we have an AB rotation class, French 2 and Orchestra, because both of those are in AB rotation. Those classes run every other day for the entire school year. So again, when you combine the two of them, it's still 180 school days, but they're just meeting in each one of those classes for 90 of the 180 school days. So an example of the AB rotation, kind of a week 1 and week 2, because in this example, our A day would be French 2 and our B day would be Orchestra. You can see in week 1, we have 3 A days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So they would meet French 2 on Monday, French 2 on Wednesday, French 2 on Friday. Then the following week, you can see that our B day is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So again, they would be in French 2 on Tuesday and on Thursday. So in this scenario, again, in every 2-week cycle, the idea is that they would be meeting half of that time in one class and half in the other. So again, you can see it works out 3 days in 1 week, 2 days in another week, and that just continues to rotate through the school year. So the hybrid 4-period block foundation, really the way this works is because it is not a pure 4x4 schedule, nor is it a 4x8 schedule, we've got anything in between. And so you can kind of see here, we're going to have an example, or we have classes that students can be enrolled in between 4 and 8 classes at a time. They only take 4 classes per day, but they could be enrolled in as many as 8 if they really chose that. Now, with that said, our counselors will be advising students not to enroll in 8 classes at the same time because we believe that's too much. But we are not going to limit a student if they do create a schedule that does fall into that rotation that will be allowed. So the next thing as we look at this, we'll look at some examples of how that looks overall. And what that looks like is in this scenario right here. So the first scenario is really around 4 classes. And in this example, we have a student who's taking 4 classes in their first semester and then a separate 4 classes in their second semester. So here we have them in U.S. History, Algebra 2, Horticulture Science, Debate and Speech, all in semester 1. So for the first 90 days of the school year, that would be their schedule. And then as we move into second semester, they would be in 4 new classes: Junior American Literature, Trigonometry, Chemistry, and Psychology. Again, they still only take 4 classes per day, and they're just split on the semester. Our next example is a student who would be enrolled in 5 courses at the same time. So in this example, they would be in World History for the first 90 days of the semester, or of the school year, Biology and Geometry also on that same setup. So those are first semester classes. However, if you look at Block 2, Marketing and Band is an AB rotation, so they would be enrolled in both of those at the same time, and those would go all year long. So as we start looking at courses, they would be enrolled in first semester 5, because you have World History, Marketing and Band, Biology, and Chemistry. As we look at second semester, again, they would be enrolled in 5 classes at the same time. They would be 3 of them would be different, because now they would have English 10, Marketing and Band in Block 2, and then Ceramics and Algebra 2. So this is an example of a student who would be enrolled in 5 classes at the same time. Next is an example of a student who would be enrolled in 6 courses at the same time. So you can see the kind of the middle section of their day is broken up 4 classes that rotate on an AB rotation. So in Block 2, you have AP Biology and Sports Medicine rotating every other day all year long. You have AP Statistics and Newspaper Production rotating AB all year long. And then you can see the 2 classes in semester format in semester 1 and a separate 2 classes in semester 2. So again, in semester 1, they would be in 20th century literature. They would be in AP Biology, Sports Medicine 4, AP Statistics, and newspaper production, as well as AP Physics. So those 6 classes they would be enrolled in semester 1. 2 of those classes would change into semester 2. So they would have CWP, AP Biology, Sports Medicine 4, AP Statistics, Newspaper Production, and Graphic Art. And the last example here is really of a student who wants to be enrolled in 7 classes at the same time. So again, you can kind of see that we have in blocks 2, 3, and 4. All 3 of those blocks are in an AB rotation. So they would take all 6 of those courses all year long, and then they would switch just the health and cooking class that semester, which would turn into the intro to chem and physics in a semester 2 scenario. But they would be in Fitness 4, Spanish 2, Accelerated Algebra 2, Modern Media, Band, and Pre-AP English all year long on an AB rotation. So that kind of rounds out the idea of a student enrolled in 7 different classes at the same time. But again, remember, they're only attending 4 classes in any given day. So again, kind of back to recap that, we have students that could be in between 4 and 8 classes, enrolled in those classes at the same time. And then we're going to have anything in between that. And again, the idea is we are not recommending students be in a full 4x8 rotation, but we will not limit that if that's what they choose in their schedule. So with that said, we talked about kind of creating a nice mix of options for students. And these are the courses that we are looking at for an AB rotation next year for 9th grade. So we have orchestra, chamber orchestra, wind ensemble, percussion ensemble, GA band, bel canto, treble and bass clef, chamber singers, mariachi, intermediate mariachi, advanced mariachi, fitness 2, fitness 3, fitness 4, health, intro to business, tech lab, modern media, pre-AP English 9, Spanish 1, Spanish 2, French 1, German 1, accelerated algebra 2, academic sport, and our AVID class. And then in 10th grade, we have all the elective offerings that we had for our 9th grade, as well as the addition of Spanish 3, French 2, German 2, AP World History, newspaper production, yearbook production, trigonometry, pre-calculus, sports medicine 1, marketing, video production, fitness, it's a walking class, or we have an advanced strength and training fitness class. Those are 2 new classes. And then a pre-AP English 10 class. And then for the 11th and 12th grade, we are, again, you have all your 9th grade and 10th grade elective offerings, plus we have Spanish 4, French 3, French 4, German 3, German 4, AP US History, AP Language, AP Literature, AP Human Geography, AP Biology, AP Studio Art 2-dimensional, AP Studio Art 3-dimensional, AP Chemistry, American Studies, AP Statistics, Sports Medicine 2, Sports Medicine 3, our DECA Store, our Core Leadership, Biology EOC, Math EOC, English EOC, our Teacher Assistant or TA program, our Senior Release, a Directed Study Opportunity, or our AP Support class. Now again, with our current schedule expanding out from 6 courses a year to 8 courses a year, we thought it was important to add or expand the opportunities for students to take additional classes during the school year. We're not sure if we'll be able to run all of these classes for next year because obviously it all is based on student interest, but our staff would like to offer up these opportunities for our students to select going into the process, the first round of our registration process, which is them selecting courses for next year. Excuse me. So with that said, we have some new courses. We have Fundamentals of Music Theory, we have History of Jazz, we have Introduction to Music, Keyboarding Lab, Digital Music, Popular Music in Society, Rock Orchestra, Walking for Fitness, Advanced Strength and Conditioning, Advanced Swimming and Lifeguarding, Latin American Literature, Graphic Novels, CWU English 101, Exercise Science, AP Environmental Science, AP Computer Science Principles, International Business and Commerce, Personal Finance, Economics, Sports Entertainment and Marketing Management, Environmental and Natural Resource Science, Forestry, Fish and Wildlife, Video Productions, Modern Media, Health and Cooking, CTE Work-Based Learning, The Media and You, Sports and Society, Pre-AP Social Studies, 20th Century American Pop Culture, Asian Cultures and History, and Contemporary Politics and Government. So you can see a wide variety of additional courses are being looked at for next year, and we want to make sure that students have a wide variety of opportunities to to take these electives now that they have 8 opportunities a year instead of 6. Again, we will continue to offer our current 0-hour opportunities. We have business law mock trial, we have fitness 4, we have AP language, AP literature, pre-calculus, jazz ensemble, and vocal jazz. All of those are offered before school in our 0-hour. We also will keep our online opportunities. So right now we have US history, world studies, contemporary world problems. And then fitness, we have an online fitness class, and we are piloting next year a partnership between our athletic program and our marching band program in conjunction with an online fitness class. If students choose to take the online fitness in conjunction with being part of a Wenatchee High School athletic program or marching band program, that will fulfill the physical requirement of that online fitness class. So just something we're looking at piloting for next year. If you have more questions about that as we move forward, please make sure that you ask that of your counselor. Then we have an online health and we have an online biology class. And then we continue to have our directed study programs. We have a varying number of courses, and those are all done by approval here at the high school. So the last thing is we're going into the registration process here in February. So in February, students will start putting in their requests for classes for next year. And then when that wraps up at the end of February into early March, we'll start the process of building a schedule based on requests for certain classes. And then that will take some time, but we'll have a framework for that, that master schedule here sometime at the end of April. And the goal would be to do something a little bit different this year, and that is to actually post our master schedule online a week prior to juniors going in to register for classes for next year. This way, with the new process or new system of 8 classes for next year, it gives students and parents the opportunity to see the schedule and start to figure out how they kind of puzzle together the 8 classes that students will be taking next year. So that's kind of the time frame, and then obviously we'll be wrapping up by the end of June with that students getting registered in classes as we kind of wrap up our freshmen at the end of May, and then students will have chances to make changes in June and then again in August before the start of next school year. So that wraps up where we are right now. I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. And again, if you have any questions as we're moving forward, please feel free to contact me here at the high school. Again, this is Eric Anderson, principal at Wenatchee High School. Thank you and have a great day.